When Megan Ariadne's son Maddie started crawling, she knew she had to baby-proof her house. She also started thinking about other hazards, including the home itself.
And I know that lead is a potential thing in older homes specifically. This house was built in 1885.
Ariadne got her son tested for lead poisoning at 6 months. His levels were fine. But when he was tested again at 1 year, his level was 5.9. The Centers for Disease Control considers anything above 5 to be lead poisoned.
I was a little panicked.
Ariadne lives in Wauwatosa and says she hears about lead poisoning issues in Milwaukee all the time, but not in the suburbs.
I think people who live outside of the city are just unaware.
But lead hazards exist far outside Milwaukee city limits.
If we can start getting the message out there about what the exposures are and what people can do about mitigating those exposures early on, then we're addressing the problem even before it becomes an issue for kids.
Those exposures are typically paint, soil, and water, and exist mostly in older homes. Homes built before 1986 are more likely to have lead pipes. Homes built before 1978 are more likely to have lead paint. And homes built before 1953 likely have lead service lines bringing the water from the main into the home. Ann Christensen is the health director for the North Shore Health Department, which covers 7 communities in northern Milwaukee County.
If you look again at our region, about 60% of our homes were built before 1978. So we're going to make assumptions that many of those, if not most of those homes, have some level of lead paint in them.
And when it comes to lead service lines, they're everywhere. Several suburban communities have a large percentage of them. In Shorewood, 90% of homes have lead service lines. West Allis, about 34%. South Milwaukee, about 32%, and Wauwatosa is about 50%. When Ariadne's son tested positive for lead poisoning, the Wauwatosa Health Department, which declined to be interviewed for this story, visited her home to help find the source.
They said that every surface of this house had lead paint on it.
Ariadne says she also did some research and found her home has lead service lines, so she got a water filter.
Just flip it up, fill it up, and then let it go through. Once we switched to that filter, his lead level again is like undetectable. And we never abated anything. There was never paint removal.
Christensen says when her health department does home visits, they too focus on paint sources, but she adds it's important to consider every source, including water.
So it's not one source that people are going to get exposed. We still keep the message on about paint and dust and the hazards there, but water can be a source of exposure for people in certain conditions in certain homes.
In 2016, about 2% of kids tested in the North Shore Health Department region had lead poisoning. In Wauwatosa, about 1.8% of kids tested were poisoned, but one problem in the suburbs is fewer kids are actually getting tested.
In our region as well, we know that the numbers of kids tested have gone down over the years.
In fact, CBS 58 Investigates found statewide data shows the number of kids tested declined between 2010 and 2016. And while kids on Medicaid are required to be tested for lead poisoning, others aren't.
Parents need to advocate for their kids if they want this test done.
Ariadne says she had to ask for the test and encourages all parents, no matter what city they live in, to do the same.